Hello everyone. So today let us do one thing with eazyBI. Let us create a Gantt chart. No, a different kind of a Gantt chart because we have been looking at eazyBI and we have learned how to create wonderful reports. But uh, when you're working with sprints, or let us say you have to develop something, right? It could be a product or you are working on a project, and once you have some visibility on what needs to be done, you then of course plan the work that needs to be done based on maybe the epics or maybe initiatives or whatever issue type that you may have. Let us say you have some items that you need to deliver, and when it comes to the plan, if you're following, let us say, Scrum or some kind of Scrum, and if you are also trying to follow sprints, because that is the whole idea, right? You follow or you try to plan the work and deliver something in 2 weeks, and then of course you continue these iterations and you plan what you need to do. And it is not always possible to plan the sprints 6 months ahead, six months in future, but you can still do some planning at least for some immediate future sprints, like maybe the next 1 or 2 months, right? That is definitely feasible, and uh, that of course gives you the visibility, and also it will give you some kind of like roadmap. And when it comes to eazyBI, you can actually use eazyBI to create this roadmap based on the sprints. Yes, that is like a wonderful thing. And uh, the way I prefer to use eazyBI to create these roadmaps based on the sprints is not just the information on the timeline, but also some additional information. For example, if you look at this particular report, we have, of course, dates. So we have something called a start date and end date for a sprint. But usually, not usually, but when you create a sprint, there is a date. There could be a date. So when you create a sprint, you can define a start or end date, and that start or end date on its own is your sprint, planned sprint. And the moment you assign some stories to those sprints, you can of course then create this plan. Now, good thing about eazyBI is that it will let you also track the actual date when you started the sprint and actual date when you ended the sprint. So this is wonderful because based on this information, you can then maybe define some KPIs for your Scrum masters, or you actually know that okay, something is not really right. For example, right now I know that of course we don't really have any additional information here. If let us say the actual land date is empty, it means that the sprint was never really ended, but it was supposed to end maybe on a specific date. For example, this date is February, not February, but April 7th. So this should have been ended on April 7th, although it didn't. So there is a problem, and we can definitely display some kind of a message here, like one column based on the duration of these two dates. If it is more than zero, and of course also do a couple of other things like whether the sprint is active or not. So this kind of a view, the main thing to create a roadmap is basically these two dates, start and end date, and you can also display some additional information. Now, to create this kind of a report, it is very simple. I'll just try to recreate this very quickly, and what I'll do will of course go to one of my account. And yeah, before we even talk about creating a report, let us quickly review the configuration for the source. So right now the source is Jira, which is of course usually the case. But if you look at this particular configuration, you can define the projects. Then you can also make sure that you are importing the agile custom fields. So make sure, just check everything, to be honest. Also including import value changes, so you have some historical information. And I usually, depending upon the instance, the size of instance, I try to optimize this. But in most cases, I just try to select everything because it keeps things simple. So the main thing is, of course, the sprint. You need to include this, and if you go to custom fields, you already have like things here, which I think. So I think most of the fields that we need are already there. So we are probably fine with this. And okay, so we basically need a sprint start and end date, right? So which is of course coming from sprint. So that is fine. And so start date, yeah. So these are custom fields, so we can probably not worry about it. So additional options. This is where you can define the JQL query to further narrow down your import, which I'm not really doing right now. I want to import everything based on the projects. So let us go to analyze, and let us quickly create a report, and it won't take long, to be honest. So let us create a new report. You can name it whatever you want, but if you look at the report here, we are basically listing the sprints, right? So we just need to drag the sprint from the agile, right? And when the moment you drag it, come on, yes, behave yourself. Perfect. So we have the sprints. We can expand it. We'll get all the, I don't really want to group it by board. So I'll probably select here sprint. Yeah, this is much better. Very good. And now we need dates. And if you expand the agile part here, sprint start date, sprint end date, sprint actual start date, sprint actual end date. And come on, yes, perfect. So if you look at the the MDX formula, it is basically using sprint.current hierarchy member.get start date, and for actual it is activated date, right? And complete date. For end date, it is end date. So you have these states, right? So you can actually straight away use these states, and the moment you have these states, you can then of course click on the Gantt, and you should get a Gantt chart immediately, straight away. Perfect, beautiful. And what else we can do? We can of course look at, for example, right now it says issues created. So this basically means that right now there are 9 issues in this particular sprint, but we need a bit more information about the commitment. So let us look at the sprint issues committed, sprint issues added, sprint issues removed, and there is one ice cream van. I hope the jingle or the melody is not audible here, but it is a bit loud. That is why I use this mic. This mic is only picking up my beautiful, nice voice. And I want to keep the windows open because it is, although it is much cooler today, it is 24. What is the temperature? Yeah, 25. But yesterday it was 40 degrees. But anyways, let us get back to the report. We want to focus on the report, this beautiful report. So yeah, we do have really nice information, hopefully. So we can see here that so right now, so if you look at this 9 number, right? So let us take a look at the breakup. So yeah, it is 9. But if you add or remove some items, for example, this particular sprint, there are 5 issues right now, but 1 was committed, 5 issues were added, and one issue was so issues committed 1. It started with 1, then 5 issues were added, 6, and then -1. So if you draw a burn down, the burn down will go up, and then it will tell you. And you can also, of course, when you talk about burn down, you need to also, I mean, there are different ways to measure, but a simple measure could be issues resolved. But this issues resolved would not be over the period of time. It would be issues resolved as of right now. But if you want to do something over the period of time, then we need a time measure. And I'll also show you how to create a burn down. So this information is of course nicely displayed here. So 1 issue out of 7 issues, 6 are done. Great, right? And if you look at maybe some kind of a progress measure, you should get like a right now there is no progress, right? But we can add a progress. So what we need to do is we can actually look at, I think I did create one user defined resolution resolve percentage, right? So this is what we can definitely use. And the moment you do it, you actually have okay, let us look at this number. So out of so this is of course so let us look at this one, right? So it says 8 issues were initially added. It is not even commitment, but anyways, so out of 8, 3 issues are now resolved. So roughly it is I guess 38%, I guess it is correct. Let us look at this one. Maybe this may not be, so this is like the current state. based on the number of issues. So basically based on the issues in the sprint, I'll probably move the issues created column on the right hand side. Yes, because this percentage that we're talking about here, it is based on the number of issues resolved out of number of issues created. So it is in a way not bad because it is telling us something. So 1 out of 5, I guess 20%, 6 out of 6, yes, 100%, and so on. And great thing is that you can actually see this on the roadmap. So I'll probably change it to maybe monthly, I guess. Yeah, so this looks beautiful, right? And of course, you can see here that for 100% it is 100%. So yeah, very useful report, and definitely going to give you a lot of ideas about what can be improved in our project, what needs to be done. And straight away this sprint plan will give you a wonderful idea about a very simple idea, a simple way to look at what is happening. And this will of course enable you as a project manager, as a scrum master, to maybe do your job easily. Because I always say, don't blame a tool for your. Don't make excuses like we don't really have a roadmap, we don't really have a Gantt chart. I need a Gantt chart. No, you don't really need a Gantt chart. You just need your experience, your skills to do your job, and of course your willingness to do the work. Because I do work with a lot of people, a lot of organizations where they keep on blaming the tool, which is really sad, because that is not really the reality. Tools are there to help you, to assist you, to do your job maybe quickly, efficiently. But don't say that we don't really have a Gantt chart, we don't really have this roadmap, and I can't really plan my work. No, you can still plan your work. You just need to use your experience, right? So these reports will help you to basically find this information quickly and easily, straight away. And that is why we have these apps, right? Like eazyBI, or some other functionality. You can potentially use advanced roadmaps. The advanced roadmaps, although I've done a lot of things with the advanced roadmaps, and I don't really think it's like a great tool. It is great, but for doing like very limited number of things. That is it. But most companies, and of course, I'm a consultant, right? I have to be honest with you. If you have exactly the same use case, let us say you're following Scrum, and all of the teams are following Scrum, and you follow story points or original time estimate, and you have some hierarchy, and the way you plan the work, you can rely on the tool. But if you have maybe a slight different way of working, then advanced roadmap will probably give you more trouble than solving problems. So if your use case is simple, you're following Agile, you like the tool already, and you have multiple projects to manage, and you expect the tool to tell you when you can release or whether you can release it or not on time, then of course it is going to help you a lot. But in most of the cases, you need some kind of ability to build your own report, to understand what is happening, and you need some flexibility. And that is why I quite like using eazyBI, because I don't really know any other tool within Jira, any other app that can do this. Maybe you have to tell me. And yeah, that is all I wanted to talk about. In case you need any help with eazyBI, in case let us say you're looking for professional help, do reach out to me. You can go to my website, sparksys.com, or maybe find me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and we can work together. All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about and share with all of you today. I hope you found this video useful and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.